Hi class. Today I'm videoing for the first lesson on Thursday, June the 4th. I'm videoing this on Monday morning and reflecting on a difficult weekend here in Atlanta and around our country. I suppose that this has been interesting, if not horrifying, for you to watch. Those of you who did tune in on TV or on social media, so forth, to see the distressing protests that turned violent here in our country, violent and destructive, very destructive to property, following the very sad death of an African-American man in Michigan. This is played out in American media quite a number of times through the years, and it is indeed a serious problem in our nation. The race relations are not in a good place, despite many, many years of effort to do better, going all the way back, of course, to the days in which African Americans gained their freedom from slavery and began to take upon the rights that would make them equal citizens here in the country. There's still a feeling that many of these folks are oppressed, mistrusted, to be feared. And certainly, I don't like to gloss over truth. There are bad people in every race, in every society. There are people to fear, unfortunately, all around the world. And that's certainly true here in America, both black and white and people of other nationalities as well. So how do we do better? That's the big question that's facing Americans today. Hopefully our politicians are really struggling, because they need to struggle in order to determine laws and policies that are fair for everyone. Police brutality is not new in our country. It has happened on a number of occasions before, and unfortunately, the incidences when this occurs with a racial tension as part of the event, white police officer, black individual, or black police officer, white individual, whatever you might say, then this brutality takes on, of course, a lot of anger and emotion, and often then turns into something like we've had this weekend. In this case, it appears that the death of the gentleman in Michigan was certainly a murder, that this policeman acted with knowledge that what he was doing was inordinately, not even within reason, cruel, and with malice. When someone acts with malice, it means that they act with intent to harm, and harm greatly. So this incident's just extremely, extremely troubling. However, it's also extremely troubling that people would take this incident and use it to be violent then among one another, and to be destructive to property, to even destroy, unknowingly probably, but to even destroy businesses that would be operated by minority groups, or to destroy buildings that have history and importance to minority groups. What I think occurs, this is my perspective, is that many times peaceful protests will be planned. That will be the intention of the majority of people who wish to make a protest. Their desire to come together and march peacefully with signs and perhaps megaphones to announce their thoughts and ideas. I think that most of the time those intentions are good, and they are intended to be a voice that hopefully politicians, religious leaders, and citizens of all colors and races will hear and think about and appreciate. So I personally have no problem with peaceful protest. I think it is our rights, our right, and the rights of all citizens to do this, and to be within the law as they perform these protests. However, what sort of happens is you have the group of people who want the peaceful protest, and they gather and they attempt to do that. And then you have people who are angry, bored, perhaps just without any aim at all in their lives. They have no direction, and they really don't understand the issues, but they are easily they easily get excited and worked up and angry, and they decide, we're going to do something and get a lot of attention. We're going to make sure that we do big enough things that the TV sees us and we're on TV. And that really becomes their purpose. They're not particularly wanting to add thoughtfulness and reason and helpfulness to the crisis. They're simply wanting to make a scene. And that's what happens with this rioting, where buildings are destroyed, where vehicles are turned over and burned, where innocent people are beat and kicked and set on fire even. Just horrible things in so many of our cities. And I'm very distressed about it. I thought of you a lot this weekend because I think this must be very distressing to those of you who are here for a period of time or considering making your home in America. This is not America. This happens in America, and it has happened more times than we wish. But this doesn't represent the heart of who America is. I think that when we look at the majority of Americans, we know that there's a lot of good, and there's a lot of desire for things to be better in our country, particularly race relations. So do stay informed, but read a lot of different viewpoints. Talk to your American friends. Try to understand some of what is behind these issues, and also learn about what sorts of things have been done to make things better. Sometimes there are opportunities for people to seek and have a better existence, but people have to take advantage of that, right? So in some cases, the path has been made for people to perhaps live a more just and fruitful, wealthy, if you will, lifestyle. Not wealthy as in real rich, but enough to live and to have a healthy and good lifestyle. But people have to take advantage of those things, and we as Americans need to make sure that we are providing the advantages every way we can. I could talk about this for a long time. I wish we could have a discussion about it and I could answer your individual questions, but I did want to spend a few minutes today because it's very heavy on my heart, and I have a feeling that it has been of great concern, if not confusion, for many of you. So we'll talk about it perhaps much more when we see each other. Okay, on to our lesson today. I had a request to review the order of adjectives. This is something that you probably studied in your earlier years of learning English, and then you probably repeated, the look at it each year. Let's take a look at this again. In American education, the order of adjectives is taught, probably 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, somewhere in there. However, it's not something that many Americans could actually tell you. You couldn't just walk up to someone and say, hey, what is the order of adjectives? And they would probably look at you like they didn't know what you were talking about, okay? Because we don't think about it a whole lot after we sort of have learned to hear it and read it, done correctly. And so it becomes just kind of second nature to us. It becomes natural to put adjectives in a meaningful order. However, let's take a look and see what that order is in most cases. Not all, but let's take a look. So here's your list. I'm sure you're familiar. The quantity of the noun that you are describing. Opinion words. These might be things like happy or ugly, beautiful. These kinds of things that infer that you are adding an opinion to the noun. Size, large or small, or enormous or tiny. The age, okay, new and old, 15 years, ancient. Age can be not just a number, it can be other words that describe. Color, origin, where the thing, the noun, is from, or if we're talking about people, this could be nationality, it could be place such as city, town. The material, what the noun is composed of, and the purpose, how this noun is used and for what benefit will this noun have. Now we know that we don't use all of these in one sentence. If we did, it would be probably extremely boring, and it would sound I don't know. It wouldn't be a run-on, but it would almost feel like a run-on sentence if we just wrote 8 adjectives. It would be as if we were trying to fill in space, and that's never a good way to approach a sentence, is it? Also, if you did want or need to use all of these adjectives to describe something in a paragraph, for instance, then you would plug these adjectives in at different places within your paragraph. Not all in one sentence, of course. But when we do use more than a couple in a sentence, we want to think about the order. So I've got a couple of sentences for us to look at and just to see how I've gone about deciding, you know, what to what adjectives to use and how to order them. All right. So the first one, Jeanette ordered 6 3/4 inch, 3-inch long steel screws from Lowe's. All right, so let's see. I've got my quantity right off, 6. And by the way, we usually write out number words unless they are a larger number. I like to write out number words really up through 25, and then I might begin using the numeral. Jeanette ordered 6. For an item like this, we will put the numeral because this is the standard way that we would read the measurement for this item. 3/4 inch, 3-inch long. So I have size, and I actually have 2 different adjectives for size because of the importance of both of those for this particular item, which is a steel, and that is the material, screw. These are steel. This is a steel screw measurement, and she ordered 6, so we have screws, and from Lowe's. Okay. We don't have the purpose here, and that could have been an extension to this sentence, to use on her new deck, okay, or to use for building her new deck. So we could add purpose and make our sentence more interesting and a little more complex. But that's an example of order that works for this particular sentence. Now this next sentence, we have a little catch here on this one. Dad promised us he'd find a young, playful golden retriever as a new pet. All right, so we have, we don't have age or opinion or size. So we start with we don't have quantity, opinion, or size, so we start with age. And in this case, young. I'm going to get back to color in just a minute. We don't have origin, and we don't have material, but we do have purpose. We have purpose here in playful as opposed to a pet that would simply be a pet that you watch. Okay, so the purpose is going to be the interaction. And we also have purpose here where we have pet and of course an adjective in front of that, new, which is another adjective for age. Okay, now golden is a color, but notice that in this case it doesn't come before playful, and that is because this is the name of the particular breed of dog. So we wouldn't take golden away and put it out here or up here. We'll keep it with retriever because that is the name of the breed of the dog. So that's an exception to the order, but an important one. Okay.